You don't communicate.
I do communicate. We're live. We're going to need a college play, Har.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, it's
We're
week
li-
zero. You're right.
Just stay on, Harry.
Penn State is going to West Lafayette, Indiana, and the line is actually moved from 3 to 3.5 here on Parks. I think this was, the last couple of days, it crept up there an extra half point. I will grab the Boilers. Boiler up plus 3.5 against the Knits on
you and this
week
Penn
0.
State resentment that continues.
How about that?
I asked for a play. I didn't ask for a kick in the balls.
There you go. There's your play.
Under 8.5 kick in the
wins,
nuts.
Too. Under 8.5 wins.
You're not believing in James Franklin, Harry?
He's a great recruiter. They lost a lot of talent. They lost a lot of experienced talent, and I think they're gonna, they'll have a okay year, but I don't think they're winning 9 games. I think they win 8 in the regular season, and that would be an under cash.
Okay. Welcome to episode 31 of Bet Parks Presents, the Odd G's podcast. There he is, Harry Mays, right out of the gate with a swift kick into my yam bag.
Yeah.
Taking my going against my alma mater for
as I
Christ's
wear a
sake.
Temple shirt too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
An Under Armour one too, Harry.
They used to be an Under Armour school. Now they're a freaking Nike school.
Yeah, everybody. Well, they're chasing the cash.
Oh, of course, I know.
That's what they do. I don't blame them for that.
Yeah.
It is college football week 0, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This is fucking awesome.
It is.
I
awesome.
love college football.
And it's awesome. And I saw our buddy Kevin Kincaid at Crossing Broad tweet this, and I think they did a show on it, that this is like the most fun Philadelphia sports summer that we've had in about 10 years, because the Phillies are actually fun to watch. And I've been dialing in on them pretty much every night for a couple of innings. Last night I stayed right through to the end with the dramatics at the end and getting a win. And they got a bunch of players that you're starting to get to know, and they're scrappy. They come up with clutch hits. They're getting some decent pitching out of guys like Ranger Suarez. And, the bullpen is pretty nice. They got some nice pieces in there. And, they're probably going to make the playoffs, and it's fun. And Harper's hitting home runs in, AAA. He's coming back here in the next couple of days, you would assume.
Yeah, first at bat, he launched one last
night.
He had
2 last night.
Yeah.
For AAA Lehigh Valley, the Iron Pigs, the Pegs. But no, it's fun. And then, of course, Kincaid's a soccer nut, and the Philadelphia Union are pretty darn good, too. So, he might have a point.
I'm trying to, because there's a lot of excitement around the Eagles, too.
Oh, yeah.
There's always buzz around this.
Except for today, they actually lost a practice today, according to Elliott Shore Parks. And this is the first time I think Nick Sirianni has lost a practice in these, when they practice against another team, the joint practices. The Dolphins beat them today, according to ESP. So that's breaking news.
Okay. Did we go through the schedule of joint practices, Harry, and give them a win dog, give them a loss dog?
Well, I mean, they're almost like, in these joint practices, they're almost as good as the Baltimore Ravens, who never lose in the preseason. I think they've won 23 straight or something like that, including last week. Yeah, it's absurd. So Nick Sirianni is like the joint practice king, but he lost one today.
All right. Well, we can bank on that at least heading into the season.
Yeah.
I can't believe they can't let one lost practice turn into 2.
Yeah, no, they can't. No, they can't. We got a guest coming up today.
They mean a lot.
Yeah, they do. We got a guest coming up today in a few minutes. Going to be joined by a professional poker player. And this is going to be an interesting little conversation, because I am fascinated by the whole, professional gambler lifestyle.
Oh,
so
it's got to be stressful.
I know. But I know you wanted to get into some other stuff here real quick. Did you see?
Well, yeah, it's Esther Taylor is going to be coming up in just a couple minutes.
Ite.
And she participated. She came in second in the pot limit hold'em in one of the
series of poker out in Vegas a couple of weeks ago.
Went over $170,000 on that.
Right, and then destroyed another pot down in Seminole, the Seminole Hard Rock Casino or whatever in Florida. So she's on a hot streak, and she's local, and she's a friend of the show and a friend of mine. And I thought we'd bring her on for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm interested to talk to her, because I'm fascinated by the gambler lifestyle, the swings in the bankroll.
Yeah,
and I think that you have to have so much rigidity to your life to not go when things are well, to not go crazy, to think they're going to continue that way.
Right.
And to be able to not stress when you go on a little bit of, cold spot. You get cooled.
Yeah, and cold spots happen. I mean, even to some of the
Absolutely.
best, so you gotta you can't go spending like a nitwit when things are going great, because there's
like a
there's
nitwit or a dope.
A dope.
I saw that Howard put out a tweet that he lost his dog. And he was very, very sad about it. And Ben Simmons quote tweeted him saying, "I'm sorry for your loss, Howard," and put a little like praying hands emoji there for him. Now we know Howard's been very critical on Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
yes.
he called him Beneman because he had no J, no jump shot, no J. Which I thought was hilarious, by the way.
It's Beneman. It's just him and LaFraud.
I saw him last week at the BMW Championships down at Wilmington Country Club on Thursday. He's walking around, and he's wearing a Philadelphia Eagles shirt.
Why is he wearing that?
It was, one of the things you can get at the pro shop, like that camouflage, that army or whatever, the armed services, shirt,
salute to service,
salute to service shirt, Philadelphia Eagles on it. Now, is that a violation?
Yes, especially for a man who dresses like he does. Right. I mean, he should be at the BMW to the nines, right? Wearing a nice golf shirt,
right?
I
mean, he looked fine. But it was an Eagles shirt. It was like something that a fan would buy.
I salute the troops. It's just
and he had the ring, the Super Bowl ring.
That and the Miami ring, University of Miami, so 80 great. Whatever that was, championship ring. He's a beauty, absolutely. He really is. Oh, I love seeing him at the games because when I worked with Howard, a lot of people go, he must have been a nightmare to work with and manage, and he wasn't. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because you always knew exactly what he was thinking. He couldn't, if he came in pissed off, he told you about it. If he got pissed off in the middle of a show about something, he told you about it. He never held it in. So you always had it out right away.
Right. Okay.
And that's good. That's what you want from an employee, Harry.
Right. Yeah, not passive aggressive, you're saying, right?
No, not at all. I mean, Angela was the same way. Like, yeah, I mean, he'd freak out in the meeting. There was no cuts from the third quarter. What's Papa Bear been doing? In the newsroom. He'd go nuts, like he wanted all these cuts. He wasn't even going to use them.
Right, he just wanted to have them. Yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Wector's in there cutting stuff all morning.
Right.
So, and that takes him away from other things, you hear all that stuff. But, you deal with it and you move forward and everything was good. I saw this thing, Harry, before we get to Esther coming up in about 5 minutes. I saw this thing that there was a guy that picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Anthony yesterday a little bit, and Ant was like trying to put no expectations on the season. I just want to enjoy it. I don't want to get too crazy, whole thing. So he's just trying to remain level-headed about it. But, you see this offensive line, like, that's a legit offensive line. We know so much of the game is predicated up front.
Yeah.
We've heard that for years.
We've seen center they drafted in the second or third round that's going to replace Kelsey at some point looks like a beast.
Yeah, they got a couple of fucking road graders down there.
They really do. They really do. No, they arguably have the best offensive line in the league and the best defensive front rotation. You could make a case for them being at the top of the league.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing about it is, Harry, is like that offensive line, other than Kelsey, is very young. Like they're going to be around a while. Dillard showed a little bit of piss and vinegar because Barnett, he was coming back from concussion, and Barnett kept hitting him in the head. And he's like, I had enough of that bullshit. So they got in a fight.
Well, he got in 3 fights, I think, that day and had to leave practice because they didn't want him to get hurt.
Yeah. I think that's
Dillard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Andre Dillard.
Right.
So, and like Andy Reid would be so proud of this team because he believed it so much that everything happened up front first.
Trenches.
On both sides, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, look, I don't know what Hurts is. I can't go Super Bowl yet because there's a big question mark at the most important position.
And that's probably why Anthony's saying what he's saying.
Yeah, because he doesn't believe in the quarterback. That's Anthony's passive aggression. I'm not sure about Hurts, but that's probably that. But
right.
I mean, this looks like a pretty well-constructed football team, all things considered.
Yeah,
And I give Howie a lot of shit, so I got to give him stick taps here.
Yeah, stick taps, hockey term.
And they still got these draft picks too in the first round.
They got 2 in the first round for next year when there's going to be some really good quarterbacks available. A lot of question marks about this year's draft with quarterbacks. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, there's a lot of optimism, if not just for this year, but for the next few years with this team. And it kind of it depends on Hurts. Hurts can come out here. They have kind of a tough schedule early on. They win a couple of games in September against some of their tougher opponents. You got to figure that they're the best team in the division. At least I do. I think they're as good or slightly better than the Dallas Cowboys. So, if Hurts can win himself 9-10 games, you're probably going to have to sign him.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to. Yeah. You can't deny the result. That's the thing. You can't deny the result. And sometimes because you can't deny the result, you ultimately can't get to that upper crust of legit champion contender because the guy shows you enough that you can't just walk from him.
Right.
But is he enough really to get you to that very rarefied air? Now they got there with Nick Foles, basically, to that rarefied air. But so you can win without having a great quarterback.
And think about having a great quarterback. Aaron Rodgers has only gotten to 1 and won it. That's it.
Yeah.
Think how good he is.
He didn't get to 1 and lose it either?
I don't think so. No, I think they beat Pittsburgh.
To 2. Yeah, that's amazing. That's a huge failure on Green Bay's part.
I agree. They've lost a bunch of home playoff games with him, and in a place where you'd think they'd have a distinct advantage.
Yeah, that notion, Harry, of you can't go to Lambeau in January and win, bullshit.
I don't believe
a lot of teams have.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of teams have. So I'm really fascinated by this upcoming NFL season. We're going to get to the college card this week and get all your action in on the Bet Parks app. Let's tell people about the sponsor. Bet Parks, you can put all your action there. Harry put out a college play already against the Penn State Nittany Lions, no less.
Yeah, it took Purdue
Boilermakers.
plus 3.5. I like that half a point there.
So you like Purdue getting a couple at home, field goal and a hook?
Boiler up.
Yep. And you have a golf play this week, Harry?
Well, there's the final playoff event, and they're down in Atlanta, and it's kind of one of those deals where they do a staggered start where the leader in the FedEx Cup is -10 already before they even tee it up, and then the next guy's -8, the next guys are -6, and on down to the top 30 players who are left. But you can bet it without the extra strokes. In other words, you can just sort of bet the tournament flat. Like last year, Xander Schauffele actually played the best over the 4 days, but he was behind so many strokes that he didn't win the FedEx Cup. You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
He
couldn't overcome the deficit.
Correct. I'm taking it without the strokes. I'll take McIlroy at +700 to win, and I'll also throw a win bet on Scheffler at +900 without the strokes.
Okay, so get that in on the Bet Parks app. 3 plays from Harry this week, which is great. You can get them in there on the Bet Parks app and get all the action simply. It's so easy to use, easy to navigate, faster to win than ever before. Use the promo code Jason750, and that'll get you a $750 risk-free bet just for getting it in on there. That's for new and existing users, and terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You do need to be present in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Now, we've got our guest on the line here.
Speaking of action and gambling, I mean, this is perfect timing, right?
Yeah, let's bring her in right now. She is professional poker player, Esther Taylor, Ite, and she joins us right now on the Odd G's podcast. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're great, man. Absolutely fantastic. How's the beach?
Oh, it's good. It was actually really nice. Not too hot.
Yeah.
What beach are you at?
I was just visiting Ocean City, Jersey. Yeah, for the night. Yeah.
That's a dry town. I usually don't frequent Ocean City, New Jersey.
I know. You got to bring your own stuff there.
Yeah.
Not without a full trunk of vodka, Harry.
Yeah, they stop in Summers Point, right? Isn't that the place?
Yeah.
And you go across the bridge with a carload of vodka.
I call it car bar. You got to load the car bar.
Car bar. There you go.
Yeah.
It's funny. My dad grew up in Atlantic City, so we were a big shore family, and he bought a house in Sea Isle, and in the 80s, and when we first went to Sea Isle, we basically called it Senile City. It sucked because Ocean City at that point still had bars. but then Ocean City went dry, and all the action came down the coast to Sea Isle. That became the hot spot with the Springfield, La Costa, the OD, all those great places. While Ocean City went dry, Sea Isle became jumping, and that it was a great place to be.
Yeah.
So
now it's kind of more of a family oriented place. But
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I wanted to bring Ite on here, Esther, because she has been tearing it up in the world of poker. She's a professional poker player, okay? And I'm fascinated by this lifestyle of professional gambling, card playing, and all that. So I thought, since she's riding a heater right now, having taken, taking some big pots down in some big tournaments, I thought we'd bring her on. And so we got a local star in the world of poker right here in the Philadelphia area, Jason.
Yeah, how'd you get started? Like, when did you realize you had this? Because it's a different kind of skill. There's a lot of computation. There's a lot of risk reward. There's a lot that goes into playing poker. It's not just, hey, I got good cards, let me push in. There's so much calculated here, reading tells, all that stuff. How did you kind of get turned on to it and end up here?
Yeah, for sure. Harry and I talk about it a lot, how similar poker is like with golf. Like, you can have the skill set, right? You can physically have the skills, but there's so many like intrinsic things that have to come together for you to like be the winner in the end, right? It's really hard to win a golf tournament, even if you're Tiger Woods or Will Zalatoris or whoever, and it's really hard to win a poker tournament. You can have all the skill, but so many things have to come together and go right and go your way. And like Harry said, like, when things are hot, they're hot. And you see that in golf a lot. You see like, when a golfer is hot until he breaks his back or whatever Will just did, you kind of ride that wave. And I got into it. I think I've just been competitive my whole life. I've always played games and card games with my grandma growing up, strategic type games. And, when you're introduced to something like poker, you kind of just like get it right away, or you don't. You have it or you don't. And if you kind of have it, you can grow on that and you can learn and you can study. And so I kind of knew right away that I was really into it and that I wanted to learn as much as I could. The other thing is there's absolutely no cap on how good you can become. So, like the greatest poker players in the world, if you were to pull them up, they're still not the greatest, right? Like, there's so much learning. There's never a ceiling to how good you can be and how much you can learn. So that is actually what really drives me, that along with golf. Like, it's very similar. You can always get better. There's always certain trainings or different things that you can find. So I think that's what I find really fascinating about it and what drives me to kind of keep going and keep at it.
Well, when did you get involved in it? Like, when did you start playing in tournaments?
In tournaments, I started like back in 2007. I was very new, just introduced, but back then you could play online without it being a problem. They shut all that down in 2009 legally. And so you can still play online, but it's a lot harder. So it's harder for people to learn now because, when you're playing, it's the difference between playing 100 rounds of golf and 1 round of golf. You're just going to be able to learn a lot faster online and get a lot more repetitions in. So that's what I was able to do back in 2009 or 2007 is I was able to play online and learn tournament strategy that way. So I stunk at first, absolutely horrible. And then, you just keep going, keep playing, keep learning. And
so you learn by losing.
You learn by losing. That's absolutely right. It's so incredible that you said that. Tony
there's more losing than there is winning.
Way more. So Tony Finau just won a big tournament. And I absolutely loved his quote where he said, I'm only here as a winner because I lost so many times. Like, I learned how to lose. You have to learn how to lose. And, and he'll lose some more until he wins again. And that's exactly how poker is. There was a lot of learning and a lot of pain, a lot of growing pains. And even in 2022, which has been a good year for me, there's been tournaments where I just go in and I lose right away. Like, there's no guarantee in it. So yeah, I took about 5 years off between 2009 and 2015 to raise my daughter. She was born in 2009. And when I got back into it in 2015, I was a little bit behind. And so I just tried to play as much as I could and study as much as I could. And kind of, it took me a year to kind of get back into it. And from there till now, I've been playing. I like to call it part-time because I have her and I just started a small business and stuff like that. So I'm not playing 40, 50 hours a week, but I play enough. I play at the World Series every year. And like I said, there's always room for growth and improvement. So
yeah, I think it's interesting because your path is like a lot of people's. When the poker boom happened online, before they basically shut it down, there was people playing. You're playing, 5 different rings as opposed to one. So that's your reference of one round of golf versus 100 at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing so many more situations. But how did you adjust from, playing online without a visual? You're using betting tendencies and things like that, and taking notes on the people at your tables. But to go to brick and mortar and play face to face, how much of an adjustment was that part of it? Because that's a big difference. The tells are different, your strategies on pushing. And look, it does you no good in poker, Harry, if you have a great hand and it runs out for you and it turns out to be a great hand, if nobody else has a great hand.
Right.
It's like, I got this great full house, but nobody else has a playable hand. It's a waste of a hand. On the way.
Yeah, like you can't get paid off. It's a good question. It's definitely... I like to call it it's a different animal. So playing online with, like you said, I mean, I used to play 10 tables at a time, sometimes more, just clicking and just playing more mathematical that way. And then adjusting to live it's just a different animal. It's a different game. It's like there's different strategies. So there's different strategy between a scramble, right, and a better ball. Stroke play, you have the same skill sets, but you attack it at different angles based on what's going on in the tournament. And that's what I like to talk about is tournament flow. Specifically when you're playing live tournaments, you just kind of adjust to what's going on as far as the flow of the table against who you're playing with. A big part of it for me, and I hate to even say this, but it's the truth, is that I'm a woman. So people perceive me to play differently. And I'm gonna identify right away if Harry perceives me to be just one of the guys playing poker, or if you perceive me to be, okay, well, she might be a little softer because she's a woman. And I hate to have to say that, but it's the truth.
Right.
And it's where I've made a lot of good adjustments and adjustments that are profitable and beneficial to me, knowing kind of what my opponent perceives me to be or how I play.
How do you judge that, by the way? Because when a guy sits down at a poker table, Harry will look over and go, "Hey." When a woman sits down and go, "Hey."
Yeah,
exactly. There's just a different intonation in how you say the same exact thing.
I probably wouldn't say anything.
Harry wouldn't say anything. He might be mumbling about a bad beat he took or something. But,
right.
It's the difference between, I golf with the guys a lot, I've golfed with Harry a lot in the guys group. And, I know the guys that kind of just treat me like one of the guys, I gamble with them, I bet with them, we talk shit, whatever. And then I know a guy that's going to not want to play with me because I'm a girl and want to handle me with mittens, or some guys apologize when they say a curse word in front of me, and I'm like, quit that shit out, cut that shit out or whatever,
What the fuck are you apologizing for?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, this one guy yesterday, I was like, don't say the fuck word in front of me, and
I'm
so
not a kid.
Yeah, you can kind of just it's perception, and it's just being aware of personalities and who you should kind of act this way towards and who you should act that way towards, and kind of also be able to manipulate it and have them act towards each other when you're at the table, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and it's just fascinating, and it's just anything that's strategic, and you guys know this, it's so wide open. It doesn't have to be one way. You're not playing the course the same way every single time. And that's exactly how I look at tournament.
Every hand's different.
And poker in general. I could have the same hand or the same shot, but I'm going to attack it differently based on what's going on, or the flow, or the table. Does that make sense?
Yeah, total sense.
So that's really what I've tried to capitalize on.
Well, tell us about the last 2 tournaments that you were in. I didn't mean to cut you off, but the World Series of Poker out in Vegas, and then the one in Florida where she won a big guitar pick. Jason, you can see Jason's guitars behind him. Yeah, the hard
you would love it. Yeah.
All I have is this little pick.
Yeah, he's got picks all over the place, but not the pick you have.
Yeah.
Your pick's bigger than mine.
That's exactly right.
Just a little bit. The World Series of Poker, it's every summer in June and July. And it's kind of like what we like to call like the summer camp for poker players. So, there's 90 tournaments, and the main event is the main one. It's not the biggest one by any amount, but it's the main event that you see on TV, the $10,000 buy-in. This year had 8,500 players. Wow. So I'll go out and play that, but I also play a lot of other games. So there's 89 other side events that range from $500 to $250,000 buy-ins.
Wow.
And they're all sort of different games and different variants of poker. And if you win, you win a bracelet, which is like, and I know I'm doing a lot of comparables to golf, but like if you win, it's kind of like getting a hole in one. Like, you can be like, I know some of the best poker players that have played for 20 years and still have never won a bracelet, right? And some of the best golfers have still never got a hole in one because like so many little small factors are important. So yeah, I went out and the closest I've ever gotten was third until this year. And this year I got second. So I went what we like to call heads up for the bracelet. It was sitting right there at the table and I was like, that is mine. Yeah. And then I bluffed all my chips off and it wasn't mine. But and those are the risks and rewards that you take sometimes. And I was happy with how the result. So it was 1,200 players. I got second for the buy-in was 1,000 and second place was 170,000.
Wow.
So, nice. The bigger the field, the bigger the pot, the bigger the buy-in, the bigger the pot, so. And then 2 weeks later, I drove down to Florida for my daughter's softball and ended up playing a tournament down there. And that was only 120 players. So a little bit easier of a field to get through. 5-card hold'em. And I ended up winning that one for like 60,000. So
it's a pretty good couple of weeks, Jason.
Yeah. and you guys know, like you have to ride the heat. Like, while you're on it.
Yeah, you want to play. It's like in sports. You want your schedule to have as many games as possible when you're winning.
So true.
Right.
When
you're losing,
it's incredible.
You want to play more, but you shouldn't play more.
Yeah.
When you're cold.
Yeah. You're chasing, good. You're chasing, bad with good, and that's no good. So
the main event, Harry, no longer at the Binion's Horseshoe. They outgrew the old Binion's Horseshoe out there in Vegas.
Right? Where is it now?
Yeah. Well, it was at the Rio for many years. And then this year was the first year that Caesars moved it to Paris and Bally's, which is a two connected hotel casinos on the Strip. And so we had to actually kind of walk and toggle in between both. And it was really interesting, but it was a lot better setup, just more room, easier to navigate through. Because sometimes you go in and there's 4 different tournaments going on at once in a bunch of different rooms.
Yeah.
So
you'll have Omaha high-low going on in one area, Harry. Hold on, or whatever.
There you go. You know your stuff.
He knows his stuff. He knows
your stuff, Jay.
Yeah. I went on a tear of building poker tables at one point during like the poker boom. Moneymaker wins back in like 2001?
2003. Yeah.
Over Sammy Farha, who always had the cigarette that he didn't smoke.
Yeah.
And then the boom happens and you have all these guys that come through and huge stars. It's all over television. And I was like, okay, how can I make some money on this without losing money? Mm-hmm. So I started building poker tables.
Smart.
I Googled it online, a track around the edge with cocktail holders in there, recessed into the wood, the whole thing. So that's what I was doing. But anyway.
Wow, that's smart. Cool.
Yeah, I played a ton of online at different sites in that same time period when you were playing. Do you play cash games or are you just strictly a tournament player? Because talk about like a different muscle memory or, way to attack things. Cash game is totally different animal. The tournament play is very patient in finding your spots and it's risk reward, but the cash game, you can make a lot more cash quick. Do you get involved in the cash games?
Yeah, I do play cash. Not often because, tournaments are time consuming. So then when I'm not in tournaments, I have my daughter and her schedule. But I do play, I play like in a, like kind of like a private game, mixed game. So it's a lot of the games that you were talking about, Omaha High Low, PLO High Low, draw games, stud. And I'll try to play in those once or twice a month. And you're right, though. It's completely different. You got to find a good game that's trustworthy. And the casinos were shut down for a while. But I don't love going to the casino for that many hours and just being in that environment. It's tough.
Yeah, you don't see the sun.
Yeah. So, and when I was younger, I would do it, and I would leave the casino and like the sun was blaring because it was 6 a.m. and I had spent all night there, and you could just kind of feel it wears on you. So I've tried to reduce that by a lot. I don't think I've played cash in a casino in a long time.
Well, she's also got her own business now that she started a year and a half ago, whatever it was. Do you know what charcuterie is, Jason? Do you know what charcuterie is?
We have a charcuterie board, I'm told. My wife told me.
Is that right?
Yeah. I'm going to send you guys one so you can have it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big part of it. It's like, poker in general is a very, the best word is like, it's just very like selfish. So like, I'm sitting at the table to like take from you. Like
everything you have too.
Like,
right. Not a little bit, all of it.
Balls to the wall, pedal to the metal. And like, and so that feeling can wear on you a little bit if that's your profession. And so I've always tried to just have other things and do other things, even if it's just hobbies or whatever. But that's a big reason why I started a small little charcuterie business. It's Choice Charcuterie. And the main reason was just to really, I love being creative with all the stuff and all that, but I do love just being like a small part of people's celebrations, right? So and that's kind of our motto, like choose to celebrate. So it's like completely on the opposite, spectrum of the poker, where I go in, I'm like, I'm coming for you.
Right.
Like,
I'm taking your lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I don't even care what happens after. And that's, to coming over here now and being like, okay, well, let's use my creative side and make, do something nice and create something nice to
bring people together.
Bring people together and be a part of a celebration. And that's where professional poker players, I feel like sort of lack a little bit because they're all in, it's their full-time job and they're all in on just take, and lose a lot. Because like you said, you're losing at a 90% rate, and winning at a 10 to 15 if you're a good player. And there's not a lot of balance there. So I've tried to like create that balance. And, when you have kids and stuff, it becomes a little bit more important to show that and show my daughter, it doesn't have to all be one way. You can do other things and bring other things into your life to have more of an even playing field. So we're excited about that I get to like be creative and have fun with, and it makes me feel good, puts me in a good mood,
And that's Choice Charcuterie, right? And it's on Instagram.
Charcuterie.
You're on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, and it's just choicecharcuterie.com too. If anyone ever wants a little fun charcuterie board or table.
Can you imagine the old lady, Jason, eating a couple of edibles, getting all buckled, and then sitting in front of a big charcuterie board?
Yeah, she's not the edible eater in the house, Harris. She's more of the pen.
Oh, you're the edible guy.
Yeah, I'm the edible eater.
Well,
although I'm on the capsule now, Harry.
That's the best way to attack a charcuterie board. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah.
The last time I took one of those she got these little capsules from me. I'm like, I think I ate the whole kitchen, including like a cutting board. Oh my God. I was just
everything tastes amazing. So the cutting board might have tasted like steak or something.
Right.
Even better. Don't tell me that.
That's awesome.
I got one more question for you.
Yeah.
Who's the player you play against in tournaments that the public would know? Like Daniel Negreanu is one of those guys that he's a freak to me. Like he's almost inside your head. Like the way he's able to know what you have is unbelievable. he was like the Tiger Woods of poker when he first broke in as Kid Poker and the whole thing. And his ability to read what you've done with what you have and what you're doing is so disgusting, I think. I mean, it's just so good. So, I mean, I've watched him countless times. I've read the book from Mike Caro, the Book of Tells, and all of those things. And I don't have that ability. But who's the person that you've played against that you cannot get a handle on?
So I've played against a lot of them. Daniel and I have played a lot of hands together in tournaments. And he is scary good. That's what I like to call it.
Like he almost scares you before you even get involved with him because of that.
So he doesn't scare me like that. Like he scares me like he's a good player. I want to avoid him at the table. I don't want to get involved with him. The person that like scares me is like Phil Ivey. Like
he's a freak too.
I remember sitting down and him just like giving me like this like eyeball, like it was like a side eyeball, and I was like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to mess with you. Like, and this was a while ago, but like, I still feel like I would feel that same way. And then there's players that I like, it's kind of like a chore to play with, like Phil Hellmuth, who I love outside of the table, but you beat him a pot. You beat him a pot, and it's like, God, your mom's not here. Like, there's no crying, and it's incessant too. Like, and so there's so many characters like that, but it is kind of like the beauty of poker. Like, I have seen every single thing from across the spectrum. I've seen people play like they have no hands, they have no arms, so they read the cards with their feet. Not joking.
What?
Yeah, I've seen, and that's what I think is cool. People that can't see, they can play with like a reader, or people that can't hear, like anyone can play, anyone. And this summer I played with a 21-year-old kid. I also played with an 84-year-old guy that had literally told me he had 6 months left to live and was like playing poker because he loves it and he was having a great time. And so you just see everything across the board, and you just see every different perspective of life too. So it's really cool.
It's pretty cool to sit down with like Doyle Brunson though.
Yeah, he's getting up. I think he just celebrated his like 80s, like very high birthday, but he's still doing it.
Still sharp.
He's got 10-2, you stay away, Har.
Yeah.
That's the Doyle Brunson head.
Doyle.
Yeah.
I can only hope they name a hand after me one day. So.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, this was great. I'm glad we could do this because I know you've been on the road a lot lately. But I've been talking with Jason for a little while about getting you on, and I think this was great. So check out choice_charcuterie on Instagram.
Yeah. Get your orders in for the fall.
There you go, for tailgating.
Yes.
Football parties, Jason.
Exactly.
And Ita, you let Harry know when that cash game's happening at a local house somewhere, and Harry said he's going to stake me for it. And I'll come sit in for a session.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I'll find the feld early, Har.
Okay, very good.
That's fun. Thank you guys so much. I had a lot of fun with you guys. I'll come back on some other time, maybe down the road.
Awesome. Okay. When you take down the bracelet.
That's
right.
Get
going with the bracelet. All right, Ita, thanks so much.
See you guys.
All right. That was cool.
Great.
Yeah. Well, you know a hell of a lot about poker, man. That's what I
played a lot of poker, Har.
Dude, I didn't know you made poker tables either.
Yeah, I'll have to send you some pictures. There's some beauties. I would go to like Joann's Fabrics and get the
felt.
It's called velveteen.
Okay.
And you have like the padding on a piece of wood, and then you spray it with this sticky stuff, and you stretch it over it, so it's like a padded top and wood. They were racetrack tables, I called them. They had like a wood racetrack around it with cup holders countersunk into it.
Right.
The nice padded rail, the whole thing.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Now, what would you sell one of those for? Like, what would people pay for that?
The cost of materials for it was about $90. It was basically 2 pieces of high quality plywood that you used, and then padding, and then the leather wrap around for the. Basically, the cost was that it would take about 8 to 10 hours to fully build it, sand it, stain it, paint it, whatever you did to it.
It's a lot of time.
And then sell it for about $600.
Okay.
So.
That's pretty good.
At my old house, you just build it in the garage and then sell them. You just put, you can put nice folding legs on it, like a folding table, or you can put nice legs on it, whatever you want to do. I haven't built one in a long time. I want to build another one because I don't have one here at this house. So, but I don't play that much anymore. I play a little bit online once in a while.
Right.
At party poker.
I've never played a game of poker. I don't know how to do it.
Really?
Yes. It's one vice that I'm kind of like, I wish I knew how to play, but I'd be scared that it would probably lead me to ruin.
Well, it can, Harry. It's one of those things, very addictive.
Yeah.
And you can be chasing it, obviously.
Right.
And then the other part of it is, like, I've spent many a night in a casino and walked in and sat down at a table at 9:30 at night and walked out at 7:45 in the morning.
Right. Yeah.
You can go all night.
That's crazy. Yep.
Yeah. So, and you can't sit there and get hammered because then you're really stupid.
Well, that's another reason why I don't play, because I'd want to get hammered and then I'd get, taken to the cleaners.
Yeah.
And
when you come home with a pile, you put, $300 on the table and you come home with $3,000.
Yeah.
Or $5,000. That's a good feeling, Harry.
Oh, I'm
gotta tell you.
I'm sure it is.
You wake up after finally getting to sleep and you go, what did I get? And you lay it all out on the table and go, holy shit, that was a good night.
Well, I saw this thing.
You put that money on the table and it doesn't come back.
Yeah, that's the problem then. Yeah. I saw this thing on Crossing Broad's Twitter the other day, and I immediately thought of, the show, because I thought it's kind of a cool question. What's the question? What is your favorite Philly sports quote? And you said that it's one, hands down, the lock.
It's not even, there's no other one that even compares to it to me. And it's the practice one.
We talking about practice?
Yeah. Not a game. Not a game. We're talking about practice. I mean, there is nothing that when that happened and Phil Jasner sitting in the front row.
Yeah.
When that thing happened, it was and still is mind-blowing to me. He's a guy. I was at his press conference when he returned to Philly. And when he walked in the room got heavier.
Yeah, I was there
too.
It
was before a Flyers game, actually.
It was.
At the Wells Fargo Center. And when he walked in, you could feel the weight of the room. Like, he had such an incredible presence when he was there, Iverson. And he was so just like engaging and encapsulated everything. You just couldn't take your eyes off him because of what he said, how he said it, and everything in his history. And that practice rant, to me, is the greatest quote ever. It's not great because of the message. It's great because of how it took place and when it took place and what came after it took place.
Right.
Because the year after is when they go to the final.
Yep, in 01. Yep.
Yeah. And they start out 42-14, and Theo Ratliff gets hurt, and they bring in Mutombo and Eric's, the whole thing, and Larry Brown, right? I mean, it is, to me, that's the quote of all quotes. To me.
All right, what about this one?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, what's your second one before I...
Well, my second one is, well, there's a bunch that I have, but the one about Curt Schilling that Ed Wade said.
Oh,
he's a horse every fifth day and a horse's ass every other day.
That was a good one. That's a great one. What about world fucking champions?
Yeah, that's a good one from Chase.
Remember when Mikey missed got
like
all annoyed with that?
Yeah. Well, there's kids watching. Not even kid has heard of, world fucking champions.
Or what about this? You want to run Philly?
Yeah, I don't love that one. Like, it seems goofy to me.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, Nick you want to run Philly?
Yeah. And Doug like, yeah, sure.
Right.
You know?
What about For Who, For What?
For Who, For What's a good one.
Yeah.
Ricky Waters, actually his first game as a Philadelphia Eagle, mind you, and had a pretty good run here as an Eagle.
Right. What's the best Flyers one since you're Mr. Hockey?
Win today and walk together forever from Fred
Shero. Okay. Yeah. Now that was for the first. That was for the first cup that they won in '74.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
And he could not have been more right because that group is still
walking
together forever. Like, go to a Flyers alumni event.
Oh,
that
it's
whole
unbelievable.
Group is still attached at the hip, from Hound to Selesky to Bernie to Clarkey.
Just go to a restaurant bar in South Jersey near Voorhees, and you'll run into one or two of them, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, just go over there to the Palladium. They're there now.
Right.
Right now. I mean, those guys, the bond that they created when they won that cup and what Fred Shero said and the way he handled those guys, to me, that's got to be the number one.
That's pretty good.
I mean, Brizgalov had some stupid shit that he said, that asshole.
Hilarious. That was all from that the HBO thing.
Yeah, Road to the Winter Classic.
Right.
Because he was just
humongous
big. Was he like into like being a bear or a tiger
or something like that? Yeah.
Then he put the tiger on his mask. Like,
right.
He was a douchebag. I didn't wash with him at all, ever.
No.
And I will tell you that a lot of people on the team, coaches and other people, did not wash with him at all.
Is that right?
Matter of fact, an assistant coach at that time told me we'd like to put him in a pair of cinder block boots and put him in the Delaware.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, they hated him. He was an asshole.
Would you have given him a face wash if you were playing against him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd have pulled the mask off, Harry, and gone waffle board to the dome.
What's that when they skate and slide and kick up the ice into somebody's face? What's that called?
Well, you snow the goalie.
Snow.
Yeah, not Snow the Goalie podcast with Anthony Sanfilippo and Russ Joy.
Exactly.
Yes, which is on Crossing Broad.
Right.
And Anthony, who I love, and Russ, who I think is a hot take artist, and I rip all the time. But anyway, there's some great quotes.
Yeah, there are. I just thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I'm trying. There was another one I wanted to think of that was like Harry Callis said some great things.
Yeah.
Over his time. I mean, the announcers, I guess, don't really fall into it.
The John Chaney, I'll kill you.
Oh, yeah, with Calipari.
Calipari, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. There was
number
one,
5, Will Always Love You.
Yeah, I'd rather pitch that one into the sun. There was so many that he's involved in that they're cringeworthy, right?
Yeah.
But there's some great stuff and great quotes that have happened over time. Mike Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
With didn't he have the quote about
something about reading about it, or something about it was about the fans, the agony of something like
the thrill of victory and the agony of reading about it
later or something like that. Something like that. We probably butchered that, but you get the gist. How about Larry Boa? Cole Hamels' game on. Remember that one?
Well, I love, how I feel about
I know.
Larry.
Well, me too.
We love Larry Bow on this show. Matter of fact, we got to get Bow on.
We should. Now that the Phillies are, they're legit here for the rest of this season.
Damn, they are.
It's going to be football and baseball in September.
Can you explain to me though how they had the smallest crowd of the season last weekend against the Mets?
Yeah, I don't quite get that. I mean, except.
Vacations?
It's the end of August. I don't know. That is pretty weird.
I mean, I thought that was very strange. I thought like most vacations are over now as people get ready for school and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't understand that. I mean, it's the Mets. Usually,
the
Mets
are clearly
pack the
better.
building.
They're clearly better than the Phillies. I mean, I know they had a chance to split that series, and then they blew it the final game on Sunday night. But they're clearly better.
Yeah, but how many Mets fans were in attendance too? To even pump the number to what it was, because usually when the Mets come to town, it's a big crowd because New York travels down.
I can't explain it. Okay.
Yeah, I can't either. And I saw this thing. You know me, I've railed against baseball and the rules of baseball and the unwritten rules of baseball and how the game needs to be fixed. Well, apparently the numbers came out that in the minors, Harry, they put in the pitch clock and they put in the result of the pitch clock. And they had all these different categories. First, it was like the length of game was from 3 hours, I think, in 7 minutes to 2 hours and 34 minutes.
It's a big difference.
And here's the funny thing. Strikeouts per game, flat, essentially the same. Hits per game, runs per game, all flat.
So it doesn't affect the play. It just
didn't affect the number,
time.
Just the length. Yes.
Wow. Now
I've been saying it for years, for Christ's sake.
No, I give you credit. You have been. You were harping on it against Mike, who was against it, I believe, right?
Yeah. That's the great thing about baseball. It can go on forever. No, that's not great.
No, it's not.
I got shit to do.
Right.
Well,
where'd you find that? Was that like a Jason Stark study or what was it?
Somebody put it out on Twitter. I'll find it and I'll retweet it. But I saw and I was stunned by it. Frankly, I wasn't stunned by it, but it was the proof of what I've been talking about for so long. And the only other thing I think they need to do at a minimum is restrict the shift. If you don't want to get rid of it, I think you get rid of it.
Yeah.
You got an area to play. If you're a second baseman, you got an area to play in.
Yeah, but they won't do that. They won't.
When the ball's hit, you can leave it.
Yeah.
But when the pitcher delivers the pitch, you got to be there.
Well, it's funny you say that because I think there was a Phillies game about a week or so ago where they were playing a Phillies hitter in the shift, and he just knocked it right down the third base line for a single. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's what you do.
Yeah, I mean that's easier said than done, though.
I know, but I mean these are professional. These are the best hitters in the game.
Yeah, but problem is the pitchers are so far ahead. They're so like the amount of pitchers 10 years ago that were throwing 95 plus was like 12 pitchers in Major League Baseball that would consistently throw above 95.
How about that?
Now
Alvarado
that number is 150 pitchers.
Wow. How about Alvarado? Man, every pitch is 100, 101, and it's got movement on it.
It's just gas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. What these guys are able to do now and the way they throw the ball is astounding.
It is.
Where's it going to be in another 10 years?
I don't know, man. Joey
Some
B
guy's going to break the... Who?
Joey B saying I'm looking slim and trim. How about that?
That's good. Now he's got the new haircut.
I was 195.8 this morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw that hair?
Well, actually, I was down to 193 and change a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So I actually put a little back on.
You feel good about it? You feel like good physically, like just lighter and everything?
Yeah, I don't feel really lighter, but I feel better.
Yeah. The most I ever got up to, I was at 201.
I was 212 at one point.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
For me,
at
I'm
201,
not tall.
I didn't feel good. I'm in like the 187-ish range now. I dropped a bunch too, and I feel so much better. So much better.
Yeah.
Although I've been feeling like shit the last couple of days, so who knows?
What do you got, the COVID?
No, I just I've been really worn out and just shit it out. Stomach has just been on the fritz a bit. I don't know.
You had that a couple weeks ago too.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on down there? What are you
I'm getting a little worried. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet it's this product that you're consuming.
You think?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Who knows? Let's tell people about sponsor one more time. You've given out 3 plays on the program today here, Harry.
Yeah.
2 golf plays.
Scheffler and McElroy.
Scheffler and McElroy.
And then you've also given out
over Penn State, no less.
Yeah.
No respect for your co-host at all, apparently. You don't seem to give a shit that I went to Penn State. Listen. You don't see me betting against Temple, Harry.
You can. I mean, you'd probably make
and I will
this year.
I just don't advertise it, Harry.
They're over. Oh, okay. So you're passively aggressively going against me. That's okay. I'm out in front of it. Temple's over under for wins is 2.5. So would you go under or over?
I would take the over for the Temple Owl.
They got Lafayette, UMass, which should be 2 wins. Then they got to find another win.
They'll find one
against Duke or Rutgers or in their conference. I think they will too. I think it's going to be.
Will they get Duke and Baldy and the whole thing?
That's that's week 1.
Yeah, that's
at
coming
Duke.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Baldy, I reached out to him a couple days ago via text. He has yet to respond, which is kind of strange.
That's an outrage, Harry. This is before the college football season, and he gets on the helicopter too.
Yeah,
this is not good.
He's still wrapping up all his training camp stuff, probably for the NFL Network. So
yeah, probably back from Costa Rica.
And, he definitely is. Yeah.
Okay, he goes Argentina.
Yeah, he goes everywhere you want to be. Trust me.
Exactly. There's got to be. He's like a James Bond of meats. The James Bond of the meat. He drives a truck and not like a fancy British sports car.
Right.
That's what Baldy does. So get on the BetParks app, check it out. Get ready for the football season. College and pro, it is kicking off. And you still got the remainder of this baseball season. You got the baseball playoffs, which are always fun. Player performances, same game parlays, you name it. It's all there on the BetParks app. Simple to use, easy to navigate, faster to win than ever before. Hit up promo code JASON750 for new and existing users. That'll get you a risk-free bet up to $750. Terms and conditions do apply. So download the BetParks app today. If you need to be present in Pennsylvania or New Jersey, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Harry, it's going to put a wrap on it.
Well, no, wait a second.
31.
There's a question here, a Formula One question.
Okay.
Because you do the F1 podcast, right?
Stick to F1, Harry.
Stick to F1. Daniel Ricciardo is leaving McLaren. Who takes that seat next season?
Well, that's already been determined. That's an easy answer. That is
okay.
Oscar Piastri, another fellow Australian.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oscar Piastri. What a name.
The real question is who takes the seat at Alpine that he was supposed to be in next year after the movement of Fernando Alonso from the Alpine racing team, the French outfit, to move over to the Aston Martin team.
Jeez, this is like soccer. Look at it, like a transfer window. These guys.
It is.
It's unbelievable.
The driver market is very much like that. And summer break is just ending basically tomorrow when they return to Stavelot, Belgium, Harry, for the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps.
What?
That's the name of the track, Spa-Francorchamps. Yeah, and we could have changeable, variable weather conditions there at Spa, which is par for the course. We basically lost the race there last year. They did 2 laps under safety car and called it.
Wow.
Because it was too
rain?
wet.
Too much rain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll race in the rain.
Yeah.
But if it's too wet and dangerous, like 4 cars spun off behind the safety car.
So they weren't even going full out.
No, they're going about 40%,
wow.
You know. And I mean, if these are the best drivers in the world, if they're spinning off the track behind the safety car, you may want to throw out the red flag.
Yeah, that's time to call it a day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Spa tomorrow. It's a circuit that could be coming off the calendar, and it's a legendary circuit with some great turns and legendary, like Eau Rouge, they take flat out. It's unbelievable. So it's a high speed, low downforce track. I mean, they fly through this track. It's unbelievable. It's over 4 miles long. So it's great through the mountains and the hills of Stavelot, Belgium. I want to get over there and check that out.
Awesome.
The Orange Army will be in effect for Max Verstappen, who will take victory once again this week.
He wins every week, doesn't he?
He's unbelievable.
He won
like
incredible.
9 races this year.
He's a Red Bull guy, right?
That's exactly right.
See, I know a little something.
Yeah, and his girlfriend is that Nelson Piquet's daughter, the former 2-time F1 world champion Nelson Piquet, Kelly Piquet.
Oh,
Google that look.
She's not on the PK. She's not on the penalty kill.
No, she does not play the PK, Harry. She's a power play.
Okay.
All right, that's episode 31 of BetParks Presents the Geez podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. We'll be back next week, and we'll have some college football in the tank. We'll be getting ready for the NFL card. Oh, it's all happening. And we'll count down to Flyers training camp as well.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, man. Everybody, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week on BetParks Presents Geez, the podcast, episode 32 next week.